Come, let us explore this Dusk's meditation class and group practice that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This evening we have a treat for you. We were going to explore two passages, the 18th and the 19th passages of the Unwaning Victory Banner, a meditation classic composed many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Vajra. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Non-conceptual equanimity is the fundamental dimension of reality. Like the moon reflected in water, it cannot be grasped. Samantabhadra's manifest energy is revealed as being as non-graspable as the so-called profound system of vowels and consonants of light. With ah and ta as adornments, all phenomena manifest as non-graspable as a pa of light. The sphere of activity of this transient world arises as the profound teaching of the Buddha. Well, as he said on South Park so many years ago, what? So let's break this on down. Non-conceptual equanimity is the fundamental dimension of reality. Like moon reflected in the water, it cannot be grasped. So I found a, let's see, that's an adaptation. I swapped one word for its synonym, but a synonym that hopefully makes it easier to understand. So this is only going to make sense within the context of the Buddha's essential teachings on mindfulness and meditation. Our central nervous system is composed of our brain, our spinal cord, and indirectly all the little filaments that connect it to various organs in our body. Our spinal cord is known as the autonomic nervous system, and it has two facets. The sympathetic aspect, which is the middle bit, and the parasympathetic aspect, which is like bookends, the top bit and the bottom bit. But what has that to do with mindfulness? Every time we inhale, we have evolved to access the middle bit of our spinal cord in such a way as to help us notice in a very special manner. To notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. To notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. And since this is not the rigidity of concentration where we indulge our controlling tendencies and decide the one thing we shall focus on to the exclusion of all others, but instead this is flexibility. This is flexible and an indulging of our nature to be laid back. We notice whatever comes up, be it external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. But what do we do with all that stuff that we've noticed? Every time we exhale, we have evolved to automatically access the top bit and the bottom bit of our spinal cord, the parasympathetic nervous system. in such a way that helps us to physically relax and mentally release that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to such a degree that that which we noticed is fleetingly less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. Or if you prefer, similes, to such a degree that it seems as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand. Now let's return to the opening bit of tonight's lesson. Non-conceptual equanimity is the fundamental dimension of reality. So as we breathe in, we see an elaborate reality. We see that some things are beautiful, and some things are ugly, and some things are melodious, and some are discordant, and some are pleasurable, and some are painful. We experience that some are flavorful, and some are disgusting, and some are fragrant, and some are foul. But as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we perceived begins to feel empty, begins to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. And so that's reflected in this phrase. Non-conceptual equality is the fundamental dimension of reality, like the moon reflected upon water. Although it is seen, it cannot be grasped. It is appearing, yet void. Samantabhadra manifest energy is revealed as being as non-graspable as the so-called profound system of vowels and consonants of light. So if I was really clever here, I would edit this and replace this image with another. Let's hit insert. Let's hit pictures and Buddhist yoga. Let's find Kuntu Zangpo, which sounds deliciously filthy. Let's see here. Okay. And let's hit wrap text behind text. Do 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 do. Okay, so this image on the right-hand side of the screen is known in Sanskrit as Samantabhadra. Or more elaborately, come on, coordination. It's known as Samantabhadra Karma Mudra. In Tibetan, it could be described as Kuntu Zongpo Yavyum. And in English, it could be known as the all-good one, mother and father, sporting and tantric union, which is quite the mouthful. Now, there's two ways of looking at that, and to expound upon that, what I'm going to do is drag you kicking and screaming over to another visual aid. So, there's two lenses through which we can consider Samantabhadra. We can look at it through the lens of Yang, through the lens of patriarchy, through the lens of being a rightist. We can look at it through the lens of being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, Or for an exciting change of pace, we can look at it through the lens of yin, through the lens of matriarchy, through the lens of being a leftist. We can look at it through the lens of being flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. And so just for shits and giggles, let's do that. So consider this archetype. The archetype known as the all-good one reminds us of many things. But here's the most important thing. Our ability to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly does not harm us. We are not harmed by seeing something, by perceiving sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, or scents. We are not harmed by emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, or imagining. It is safe to not only to notice, but to notice vulnerably and passively. We don't have to guard our senses. Remember when we were kids and we go to a tourist trap that my godmother would describe as a shit shop, and we'd see that statue of the three monkeys, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil? We don't have to do that. We can be honest with ourselves. We can be honest with the world around us. We can give ourselves permission to feel the entire spectrum of human emotions. The great irony is that the more we're able to notice and relax whatever we feel, the less apt we are to be controlled by what we feel. The opposite is also true. The more we repress what we feel, the more we are controlled by it. It is weird, but consistently observable. So the foolish will say, this is a god and a goddess, and I must believe in them and worship them and bow to them and make offerings and recite prayers and mantras so they can act like my celestial Santa Claus. Great. Or we can be wise and say, this is an archetype that reminds me of a lesson, a spiritual lesson, that it's safe to be perceptually vulnerable and perceptually passive. Vulnerable to the outside world and the inside world. The world of perceptions and the world of emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Yes, that's a mouthful. So, in this context, the all good ones, the manifest energy, is this: our present moment experience, be it glorious or be it grotesque. Let me rephrase it. As we relax into our exhalation, our present moment experience, be it glorious or grotesque, feels as non-graspable as a real or imagined vowel or consonant comprised only of light. Now you might say, that's a really weird simile. Why would the author choose that simile? Because in that day and time, there are three flavors of Buddhist practice that were popular. The most popular was something called Maha-yoga, and it consisted of visualizations and offerings and invocations and rituals. The second most popular dealt with channels, winds, and drops. So people were crazy for channels, winds, and drops. and they would do all sorts of physical postures and visualizations and incantations to indulge their controlling tendencies, indulge their duality, and make their bodies feel what they wanted their bodies to feel when they wanted to feel them in specific locations. In different passages of this same text, the author goes on to teach that both Maha Yoga and Anu Yoga, both ritual practices and energetic practices, or distraction for what is most important. Ati Yoga, which is just noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. That's the essence of the Buddha's teachings. But since people were already crazed for channels, winds, and drops, they were crazed to visualize syllables in different parts of their body. He, like any good teacher, he used that which was already at the forefront of people's mind, and he molded it the way a sculptor might mold clay. He molded this facet of their culture into a simile that could help them take the confusion of their contemporary culture and use it as a stepping stone to something much better. So having set the context of vowels and consonants, he now gives an example of 3. These are not the only ones. He's just citing an example that was most likely popular at his place in the place and time where he lived and taught. For instance, I live in America, so I use American references when I teach. If I was on vacation in Canada, I might want to spend a week or a month soaking up popular culture so I could teach the same teachings but with different illustrations, because it would make more sense to the people I was addressing. Together, with ah and ta as adornments, all phenomena manifest as non-graspable as a pa of light. So that which we perceive during our inhalation differs from that which we experience during our exhalation. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalations feels as non-graspable as a bit of light. The sphere of activity of this transient world arises as the profound teaching of the Buddha. What does that mean? One does not require a lofty PhD or a doctor of divinity to become a Buddha. How do we know this? Because in the Buddha's discourse of the 4 bases of mindfulness, in the second to the final passage, the Buddha promised that one could master his path in as little as 7 days. Now, I don't know about you, but I never heard of anybody earning a PhD in 7 days. The one of enlightenment was simply the mastery of the Buddha's 8-fold path. When I was a child, I thought learning to tie my shoes, learning to use the toilet, learning to brush my teeth, learning to ride a bike, those seemed like impossible dreams. But eventually I got so good at those things that I could do them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That describes mastery of any skill, whether it's a kitchen skill, a bathroom skill, a recreational skill, or a spiritual skill. The 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's 8-fold path are mindfulness and meditation, noticing and relaxing. Simply by playing simply by passively cooperating with our central nervous system's capacity to notice and relax in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation. Simply by doing that at least once every 12 hours or so, we automatically experience the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The ability to notice change, the tendency, the impulse towards kindly intending, kindly communicating, kindly acting, and kindly engaging in commerce. The impulse to flow from spontaneity, not the scattered kind, but the centered kind, known as right effort or the effortless effort. All that we notice during our inhalation, the good, the bad, the pleasurable, the painful, the glorious, the grotesque, the interesting, and the boring, all that we notice during the inhalation leads us to the mastery of the Buddha's teaching. Having completed our opening lesson, let us now shift gears. It is Yoda Monday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I'm a big old weirdo, and so for more than 30 years, I've harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to Nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let's play with the latest iteration of Very Easy Meditation Practice Text, which is available for free download simply by playing with the links in the description area below the video. What's the most efficient way to passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system that the ancients nicknamed our Buddha nature? Simple. Every time we inhale, silently and mentally, we could recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Every time we feel our body exhaling, silently and mentally, we could recite the one-syllable verb ease. We do not have to do this 24/7. We could do this for as long as we want, once every 12 hours or so. We could do this while lying down, or while walking around the block, or while sitting, as best we can. Let us keep track of our first collection of 144 inhalations by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. Upon the creases of the 4 fingers of our right hand, we could keep track of the next 12 inhalations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Our right hand is great if we want to count 12, one set of 12 repetitions. I'm sorry, one set of 12 inhalations. Well, what if we want to count more? What if we want to count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each? Then I recommend using the creases of the 4 fingers of our left hand to count the first, second, and third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th sets of 12 inhalations each. we could keep track of our second collection of 144 inhalations by resting the second knuckle of our right middle finger upon the tip of that same on the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. All the while counting 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. Let's rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In about 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's dawn meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.